We're good. We're going to get started because we have two parts to this session's presentation of this session. First will be myself and my colleague Nick from Stony Brook Universities, and then second one will be Rusty Mahalik from Goldie Beacon College. Okay, so we're going to get started. I'm Victoria Pilato. I am the Associate Director for Digital/AI Ethics and Policy at Stony Brook University Libraries. And Nick will introduce himself when he gets up here. Our whole session has to do with ethical, inclusive AI integration in academic libraries and classrooms. So where Stony Brook University Libraries started in our AI and academia journey was through our strategic plan that was written in 2024, which I had the pleasure of working very closely on. And in our strategic plan, we focused on AI in every priority. That wasn't the main focus, I should say that, but AI hit all four priorities. So our four priorities are teaching and learning, expand research, broaden our impact, and reimagine the way we work. So we wanted to use AI to support cataloging and metadata, AI to support research, AI literacy for library staff, fundamentals and advanced for our library staff, something that's not necessarily required, but supervisors, anyone who's supervising anyone in the libraries should encourage and offer the time for this, which we felt was really important. So with the strategic plan, we had some changes in hiring, not even changes, we just had new positions that we wanted to create. One being the Director of Innovation, Director of AI, which is Nick, and AI research scientist, and a critical AI fellow. But we also had changes within positions already at the library. So some of our titles changed, including my title. I've been Digital Projects Librarian my entire librarian career. And with that background of ethics and intellectual property and all of that, it kind of lended itself to digital and now AI ethics and policy. And that change happened literally a few weeks ago. And we also, one of our programmer analysts his position title turned to Associate Director of IT/AI Operations. About 2 years ago, we also hired a data literacies lead that is also very involved in data and AI, and more recently, a data analyst for our library's data. And now I'm going to hand it up to Nick.
Good morning, everyone. So to build off what Victoria was saying, and really to think about our strategy in terms of approaching AI and ethical and responsible approach, we really have these sort of two pillars that we're thinking of, and one is really to maintain a human-centered approach. We think this is really critical. On the other hand, we have this sort of strategic vision that we have, and this is the other piece which we're really seeing as an opportunity to think more structurally and to provide governance on the way that we're actually approaching AI. From a human-centered approach, there are a whole bunch of things that we're doing which I think are really designed to build out this inclusive approach. And one of the things that we really like to talk about is our AI club. This is one that the library has supported, and this is really an informal club of faculty, staff, and students across campus that come together and really share experiences about AI. And I think one of the exciting things about this is it really does bring together a broad perspective of AI. We do have technical experts that are participating in the club. We do have novices, but really it is a space where people can share their thoughts, be creative, and sort of explore AI and the different approaches. Likewise, at the library, we really wanted to understand how librarians and faculty and staff are feeling about AI, so we conducted an actual survey. This was really meant to get this basic understanding of how people are feeling. Are they excited or not? Do they feel comfortable technically working with AI or not? And this is really used to inform then how we move forward in terms of providing AI literacy approaches. And so one of the very specific things we did from that was to launch a learning series. We call it the AI Funhouse series, which was a 15-minute weekly presentation, which really asked faculty and staff to give a 15-minute presentation to faculty and staff on any topic of AI. And this is really to dive into something very narrow, to explore it, and then to sort of build out that literacy approach. And this is really in the context of creating accessible learning opportunities for all the faculty and staff. On the strategic leadership side, the library has gone forth and created a steering committee, an AI steering committee, and this is really designed to provide leadership with decision-making information and to really do the sort of research and coordinate all of the AI efforts that are happening at the library. There are many of them. There are many vendors we're working with, and we really felt that there was a need to establish sort of a governing body to be able to listen to multiple perspectives across the library and how these tools and technologies would actually play an impact. We have developed an AI literacy strategy, and this is sort of multi-pronged, where we are thinking, how do we as a library internally build out the literacies for faculty and staff? What is that strategy to move forward? How do we provide those opportunities? But then also thinking about where then do we go in working with the university writ large in terms of a strategy for AI literacy? We really do feel that the library is well positioned to play a key role at the university to expand AI literacy at the university. And then we have other sort of documents. We have this, what do we call it, the responsible and transparent use statement. This is really, again, saying these are the tools that we're using, and this is how we envision our approach to using those tools. These are the ethical and responsible ways that we will and will not use tools generally at the library. And we feel this is really an important sort of strategic leadership perspective to provide. And then finally, I think there has been great support from leadership to actually encourage experimentation and exploration with AI tools and technologies at the library. This is really offering that sort of creative encouragement for faculty and staff to explore, feel comfortable with those approaches and technologies, again, to sort of build out the AI literacy at the library. As sort of another layer on top of that, we are really thinking about how the library can level the playing field and what kinds of AI services we can actually provide. And when I say level the playing field, it is really how do we, across campus provide equity in terms of technology access, understanding, and providing resources. So the library has actually invested in compute resources, which I think is very exciting. We have several NVIDIA GPUs that we're using, but this is really making sort of the technologies available to the campus community writ large, and sort of democratizing, if you will, the technologies that are available. On top of that, we are sort of implementing AI services both internally and externally. So some of that, again, is improving discoverability of our resources and making things more accessible, but also exploring with new AI technology to do OCR, for example, or summarization, transcription. These are traditional services that we provided, but really taking a lens to say, where's the opportunity here to leverage AI and using those services? And then finally, I think it's been really important for us, as we've been going through this process, to build these collaborative experiences across the university. I've listed a bunch of departments here that we've been working with, but it really is an exciting opportunity to say that the library can take a leadership role in really providing the resources, providing the technical expertise to support the university, and in particular support non-traditional STEM programs, the humanities and social sciences, who maybe don't have access to technical resources or the sort of expertise to implement the types of AI research that they're wanting to do. So we really are sort of at the nascent level of building out these relationships, but I think they're really providing a fruitful ground to move forward with AI at the library. I'm going to turn it back to Victoria.
So if we think outside of the libraries, we are engaging in thoughtful AI discussions, not just within the libraries, but also to our broader community. So our AI ecosystem throughout campus, engage with campus community, anyone that wants to engage with us, but also us going out and making sure that we are part of these conversations. So our library's faculty and staff are engaged in many discussions about AI at the university, and we do this in many ways. We have faculty and staff, so a lot of our faculty and even some of our staff are involved in university governance. And we have other committees on campus too, and I think every Senate committee has an AI, they're talking or discussing about AI in some way or another. So that is one way to make sure that we are engaged in this conversation on campus, which is really important. The reason why these are so important, and what was important to us when we wrote our strategic plan, was that to make the library not appear just as a service, that we are, in fact, part of the campus community. We do research, we have expertise, we have technological knowledge and how we know how to do things. And we should be recognized for that and not just as a service. And we see that as benefiting the entire community. So these discussions also in our AI club happen. We have so many students that are joining our AI club, which is great to see. It's a mix. We have people outside the libraries, as Nick said. We're also, the people in the libraries are also collaborating on research grants with the writing department and other forms of academic engagement. So some of the observations that we've seen, so we are creating these opportunities for AI literacy and informal professional development. And that is, I'm speaking about our library's staff and faculty. This is a broad participation, and something like the AI Funhouse helps, where we have these activities, but they're kind of low stakes. So we're seeing maybe some of our colleagues in the library who we wouldn't expect to see wanting to know more about how AI can help them in their jobs, actually participating in these activities. And we also, the libraries have our AI server, and it's open to anyone that wants to use it to experiment. And why this is working so far, and we hope it continue to work, is that we're combining grassroots development, such as our AI club, with strategic leadership objectives, through our Dean of Libraries and our strategic plan. So some of our ambitions for the future, we're hoping to just continue to be influential, be transparent. We're learning from our own workflows. We're not using AI for everything, and to state that, what do we need to use AI for, what we don't need to use AI for. And so we're hoping for sustainable participation and learning, and also to eventually have our permanent physical AI and innovation space. And that is it. Thank you so much, and I'll let Rusty continue.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Rusty Mahalik. I am the library director at Goldie Beacom College in Wilmington, Delaware. For anyone who doesn't know what where Goldie Beacom College is, it's a emerging Hispanic institution. We have 40% international students. We've been around since 1886. And today we're going to be talking about ethical and inclusive AI integration in academic libraries and classrooms, specifically composition courses. My presentation, well, they took more of the macro sense of building culture in AI. I am doing more of a micro lens with what practical strategies you can actually bring home to your institution. We've been using AI At the college and in the curriculum since 2019, we picked up the library license for all faculty, students, and staff, Grammarly and Scholarly in 2019, and UNU Discover. If you all remember, UNU Discover was a great discovery tool using knowledge graphs. When UNU Discover ceased to exist, we picked up LitMaps, which is a company from New Zealand, and it's a great citation management tool with an AI layer and LLM in it. And we are currently exploring, as of 2024, image-to-text generation, including image FX and Gamma. And on the non-curricular side, we use SQLite for cataloging of images. And we also have now adopted that, not in the presentation because it only happened last week, but we now use SQLite for teaching and learning purposes too. So in the first year experience, before students actually as they are enrolled, the first year students come the first week of school, and we do a lot of AI integration into their first week of school. And we ask them a lot of questions. We want to know where they are so we can kind of change how we teach to make sure that we meet their needs. So when we ask students the use of AI in their coursework in high school, 65% said they were not using AI in their coursework, which is interesting. I don't think that's actually true, but this is what they told us in the survey, and we told them it's informal and we're not going to actually keep track of what they're doing, but people say what they want to say. When they say, so then we ask, this is a session on AI and academic integrity, and so we ask them, is submitting a paper found on the web, 88% that is actually cheating. 93% of them said looking at a neighbor's test during an exam is cheating. Again, this are first year students who just came out of high school, and so they're clicking whatever they want. Sometimes I think they do know it. We get some smirks sometimes when they're clicking using their phone. Using AI to write a paper, we want to know what they think about that, and they say 84% say that is cheating. But using AI to create an outline for a paper, 34% actually don't believe that is cheating. And submitting a draft to ChatGPT for improvement, 20% actually didn't believe that was cheating at all. So the librarian's role in teaching and using AI responsibly. If you don't know Mark Watkins, he's in teaching and learning, he's not a librarian, but I really like his quote: if we don't teach our students AI literacy, we risk mega corporations providing them narratives that market these tools as magic. AI is in our world, and engaging in the discourse doesn't equal adopting AI. And that's kind of what we teach with our students. We teach it is a human AI tool. It's your thoughts, use AI to improve, then use your brain, use yourself to then do what I call quality assurance. And so make sure that we do the revision process. So when we embed AI into the writing curriculum, this is part of our culture here. It's like the faculty came in and they're like, well, we're really tired of the dog and pony show that librarians always do. We saw a decline in using information literacy. One faculty member who had just come from a very large institution, it's like, well, I got tired of that physical tour of the library stacks. Developing topics is fine, but I can do that too. Instruction to using databases like JSTOR and EBSCOhost, that's fine, you can come in and do that, but can we integrate that also with AI literacy? And so we did. We changed it last year. We formalized this and put it in a document, but librarians now teach the AI tool for evaluation and ethical use. We emphasize prompt literacy and source tracing and fact-checking skills take priority, so we teach lateral thinking. So it's cool having these tools because it's not just showing them how to scroll down a thing and using the filters. We're using the databases as well as using the tools that I mentioned earlier, because that is important to us. And so the sequence and part of this building this culture, it's essential skills for first year writing. How can we supplement the work they already do using AI? So what we always talk about in our classes is that you're going to be going to a job interview. They're going to ask, have you used AI? And we want them to be able to thoughtfully say, yes, I know how to use it, and this is why I do and do not want to use it. We want to have new AI resources and subscriptions. We believe in democratization of access of AI tools, and that's very important to us, and that we want to make sure that everyone has equal access. To one year that there was an assignment that there was not an image-to-text generation, and everyone used a different thing, and the assignments reflected that. They were poor quality, and when we actually gave them all access to the same tool, the quality of the assignments improved. Alignment, we want to make sure there's alignment with 1A and B, match programs to scaffolding and first-year writing, which we have been doing. We'll talk about that in a second. Instructor awareness of AI programs lead into the sessions to get students ready, and having those library sessions, we'll talk about in a second. So again, democratizing access to AI tools. Three of those four, we have a library license, and we've been doing that for a long time. They all sign up for that in their first year experience program, the first week before school starts. And so that is important. We want everyone's assignments to be the same. We did get tired of people saying, well, I'm using Grammarly already. Why do I need this library thing? Well, the features there aren't the same. So when your experience is different, you don't know what you're actually using. So we want to make sure that they have that access to what everyone else has access to, so they can make an informed decision. All right, these are some of the assignments that we do. Grammarly we've been doing for several years now. It's usually a revision of a narrative essay, and so one of the main things that we do when we scaffold these assignments is that we want to make sure that they understand that everything is revision-based. We did this last year, in the last couple of years, and it's been pretty cool. And one way we deal with academic integrity is that we do this with the strong response paper and the narrative essay, but we actually have them write their narrative essay in a Blue Book first, then edit it, type it out, key it out into Grammarly, and then from the Blue Book, and then revise it one more time. This helps a lot with academic integrity issues. We were noticing a lot of times when we just wrote the paper in Grammarly that there would be words that we have not taught them yet in class, or citations that were not yet available to that they knew about, or they were using words that were, since they are first-year students, that it was unlikely they knew those words. So we wanted to make sure that there's that, again, part of our culture is the human AI tool use. And so that there's human use, then the AI, and then go back with the human use, and the human editing. So we teach them prompt engineering. We generally teach them Leo Lowe's prompt literacy. That's a clear framework, and so that works really well with them. We talk a lot about bias. We talk about also getting rid of the standardization of language. So in Grammarly, we have now a baseline of 75%. So we don't want them to actually have, there's a score if you've used Grammarly and it says 80%, you can make it all the way to 100. And the students, and so we want them to actually be at 75, and we tell them that from the beginning. In one of the classes we did this last year, we had two students young ladies hear this loud groan back in the lab, and we're like, well, what's wrong? And they're like, I just got 100% on my Grammarly, and I want it to be 75%. You told us it needed to be 75%. It's like, it's okay. Did you like the suggestions that it made? And they're like, yeah, a lot of them were just mostly like commas and, I spelled things wrong. I'm like, well, that's okay. Does it still feel like your words? And so that was very important to us. And the other thing that we like about Grammarly is that we teach them to build on their essay for the revision using the generative AI feature. And so we teach them through Leo Lowe's clear framework how to do prompts. And one student wanted to be a bit cheeky, and we were towards the end of class, and he's like, well, I really, really want to know what it would be like if my paper looked more juicy. So he types into the generative AI features, like, make my paper more juicy. And so it went from about 800 words for his narrative essay to about 3,000 words in about 2 seconds. And he's like, so he starts reading, and we're like, well, what did you actually think of this? And there's more words, and that fulfills the requirement, that's part of the assignment, but what do you actually think of this? And he's like, well, I lost my voice. which is great. So this is just part of what we do when we do this human AI. And as we teach them, it's like it's your voice needs to still be there. It's good to use these things, but in faculty, we're getting tired of seeing misspelled words, sentence splicing, and all those other things. So we can fix those little small technical things, but we want to make sure that their voice is always there. And we also don't like the plagiarism checker, so that's probably the biggest con of Grammarly. I think I've written essays where it's 100% Iris wrote it, and it tells me that I used 100% AI, and I've used it for totally ChatGPT wrote the whole thing, and it told me that there's no AI used in that. So we don't emphasize that at all. It's hard to turn off that feature, but it's probably one of the biggest confusion we have when we teach those classes. One year we teach evaluation, and Scholarcy is that tool that we use that for. It was a compare and contrast paper. One of the biggest downsides of Scholarcy is that it's not great for humanities papers, and so without H1s heading 1, 2, 3, 4, it has a hard time reading it. We do a common reading program each year, and we used Jamil Zaki's I think it was War for Empathy book, and it's Stanford professor, and it's a great book, but there was not many H1 headings in it because it's more of a philosophy book. And we tried to scan it and put it into Scholarcy, and what came out and what was the output was a Latin love poem. So that was a challenge on our staff side, and we had tried to fix that. But the students liked it, so we're trying to what we wanted to do with that is that we wanted them to summarize the chapter and then have Scholarcy summarize the chapter for them and then do a compare and contrast which one they liked better. Faculty did not like that assignment at all, and so we have kind of moved away in composition from Scholarcy, but in a moment I'll talk to you about kind of what we replaced it with. So that goes with this Grammarly book thing that we talked about with the Blue Book, but we'll move just in the interest of time, so you guys can ask us as many questions as you wish. The other one that we like a lot lately is using ImageFX. It is free. There are a lot of guardrails. When students write, there was one theme for 1 year was, well, I think it was actually for the year that we did empathy. The student wanted to do with children on the playground, and empathy, the ImageFX wouldn't actually generate any sort of image. They also have to put their age in there. So we had some students who were 17, so they weren't allowed to use it. They're college students, and so they figured out a way to change their birth date. And like, you don't have to do that. We can find a different way to do it. They didn't care. So they did it anyway. Generally, what we're trying to do with this is we're trying to create a visual expression based off of the theme of the Common Reading Book. We let them choose if they want to do an AI visual expression or a manual process. People come up with videos, sculptures, watercolor, but generally, for the most part, they do use some sort of an image program. This goes back to our democratization of access. The first year we did this visual expression, everyone used all sorts of image to text generators, and the quality of the image to text generator of the output was poor, to say the least, and they lacked a lot of. They didn't realize that they could run out of tokens if they didn't pay for it. So that ImageFX allows us to have enough tokens so during a class session and then be reset the next day that they can keep on revising their visual expression, so it makes it a little bit easier. So that one's good. We also use, and I mentioned SeqLite, and I mentioned that earlier on purpose. Last week we actually did a really neat thing where a faculty member asked if we could, our students generally have never been to a museum before. So when they're part of the visual expression is that they have to go write a description of their visual expression, and it's hard if you haven't read a description at a museum before what it could do, what your image should look like, and why did you create this image. So we actually used SeqLite. We uploaded all their visual expressions, and then which generated a description of their visual expression, which then helped them revise choose what they wanted to do to kind of augment their description of their visual expression, which was pretty cool. We like that a lot. The faculty like that a lot. The one downside of SeqLite that we have found so far on that is that the faculty member wanted the AI to look at ethos, logos, and pathos, and the AI doesn't know what ethos, logos, and pathos is. So that's a challenge. So it was very kind of just very vanilla, basically, in the description. But it was, one student came out and said, well, this is actually pretty cool. Here's a thought bubble here. In my description, I actually didn't explore what this thought bubble meant. So this thought, but the SeqLite actually mentions the thought bubble, so he was able to kind of enhance his visual expression description. It was cool. We like lit maps a lot. We actually recently won an award in ALA for our use of lit maps. And we try to teach students scholarship as a conversation. One of the things I mentioned earlier is the faculty got very tired of is that they don't get how these papers connect. And so one of the things of using these knowledge graphs to then show that these different papers and how they connect through authors and natural language processing and keywords, it allows us to teach them that and teach them scholarship as a conversation. It also allows us to teach the lateral thinking, and also has increased our use of open access documents using libkey. So there's a little PDF there up on the top. You click that, and it doesn't always have. They don't have to go 10 different places to find something else. All right, questions?